The floor drops from under me before I even understand what is happening. 1 second, I am standing in formation, sweat already gathering at the back of my neck from the thick heat of the training dome. The next second, an invisible weight slams down on my shoulders like a wall falling on me. My knees buckle, my spine screams. I hit the ground hard, and the sound of my own body crashing against the metal floor echoes through the silent room. Above me, towering at nearly 7 feet, stands Instructor Karsa. Her scales catch the overhead lights, shifting from deep green to a warning shade of red, the color her species turns when they are furious. Her eyes, narrow and reptilian, are locked on me with something close to satisfaction. "Get up, human," she says, her voice flat and cold. Or is this proof enough of what I already knew? I push against the floor. My arms shake under a force that feels like it wants to crush me flat. Around me, the other cadets watch in silence. Some look worried. Others, the ones from heavier worlds, simply look confused, because even they are struggling to stay upright. This all started 10 minutes ago, over nothing. I am the only human in this class. 22 cadets, 6 species, 1 shared goal: to graduate from the Threshold Academy, the joint training ground built after the alliance formed between our worlds. Every species here was chosen for something they are best at: speed, strength, endurance, focus. And every instructor here has their own opinion about which species deserves respect and which does not. Instructor Karsa has never hidden her opinion of humans. She has said it in front of the class more than once. Humans evolved on a soft world, she claims. A world with weak gravity and mild seasons. A species raised without real hardship, without real pressure. To her, I am proof of a theory, not a person. Every mistake I make, she treats as confirmation. Every success, she treats as luck. 10 minutes ago, halfway through a balance drill, the environmental system in the dome shifted. The dome runs hot by default, matched to Karsa's homeworld climate, somewhere near 40 degrees, thick and heavy in the lungs. But suddenly, the temperature dropped. Cool air rolled in from the vents. For a species built for jungle heat, that shift was uncomfortable. For me, it felt like relief. Karsa stopped the drill immediately. She turned toward me with her tail flicking hard against the floor, a sign of anger among her people. "Which one of you touched the controls?" she said, not as a question, but as an accusation already decided. Nobody answered, because nobody had done anything. The temperature control on this base runs on automated cycles, adjusted by the central system to prevent damage to the dome's machinery. It happens every few hours. Everyone here knows that, or should know that, if they had bothered to check the manual instead of assuming. But Karsa did not check the manual. She looked straight at me. "The human requested comfort," she said, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "Too weak to handle real conditions, so he tampers with the systems to protect himself." I told her I hadn't touched anything. I told her the system runs on automatic cycles. She didn't listen. To her, this was not a technical detail. This was confirmation of everything she already believed about my species. "If comfort is what you need," she said, stepping toward the control panel on the wall, "let us remove it completely." That is when she reached for the gravity controls. The training dome uses adjustable plating beneath the floor, designed to simulate different planetary conditions during drills. Standard setting matches Earth normal, roughly what most species in the Alliance consider baseline. Karsa pushed the dial far past that, well beyond what any instructor should use on a training class, especially without warning. The moment it activated, gravity nearly quadrupled. That is the moment I hit the floor. Now, on my hands and knees, I feel my own heartbeat hammering against my ribs. My arms tremble under the pressure, but I refuse to stay down. I press my palms flat against the cold metal and push. It takes everything I have, but I rise, slowly. My spine aches with every inch. My lungs fight for air that feels thick and heavy, but I stand. I look up at Karsa, refusing to look away. Impressive, she says, though her tone carries no real respect. A single human standing under pressure 4 times his baseline. Let us see how long that lasts. She raises the gravity again. This time, I hear gasps from the class. A few of the heavier-built cadets, species built for raw strength, start to stumble. One of them, a broad-shouldered cadet named Rurik, from a high-gravity world himself, drops to one knee, breathing hard through gritted teeth. Even a girl named Ren, from a species known for incredible speed and agility, folds under the pressure, unable to hold her balance. I do not fully understand why, not yet, but something about my body seems to be handling this differently than theirs. My legs shake, my chest burns, but I do not fall. I think about long summers spent working outdoors as a teenager, hauling equipment across uneven ground for hours without rest. I think about long-distance runs through hills that never seem to end, the kind that teach your body to keep moving, even when every muscle screams to stop. I think about every time an adult told me to quit, and I refused simply because quitting felt worse than pain. None of that was special training. It was ordinary life, but maybe ordinary life on a world with unpredictable weather, uneven terrain, and constant physical demand built something into human bodies that other species never needed to develop. Karsa watches me with narrowed eyes, clearly expecting me to break. When I don't, frustration flashes across her face. Hold your positions, she commands the class, though at this point, half of them are already struggling to obey. I glance sideways. Ren is on both knees now, arms shaking as she tries to push herself back up. Rurik, despite his massive frame, looks pale, his breathing ragged. Even Instructor Karsa's own species, I realize, was never built for prolonged crushing weight. Reptilian bodies favor sudden bursts of strength, quick and explosive, not slow grinding endurance. Human bodies, built on a world of long treks and unpredictable seasons, seem to favor exactly that. I take one step forward, then another. My boots scrape against the floor, each movement slower than normal, but steady. I am not fast, I am not graceful, but I am still moving. Karsa's tail flicks hard against the ground, a clear sign of growing anger, though I think now it might be something closer to disbelief. Enough, she finally says, though her voice carries none of the satisfaction she clearly hoped to feel. She steps toward the control panel and lowers the gravity back to standard. The pressure lifts instantly. My knees nearly give out from the sudden release, relief washing over my muscles so fast it almost hurts in a different way. Around me, cadets collapse fully to the floor, gasping, rubbing their arms and shoulders. Ren lies flat on her back, staring at the ceiling. Rurik sits with his head in his hands, breathing hard. I remain standing, though barely, my legs trembling beneath me. Karsa studies me for a long moment. The red coloring on her scales slowly fades back toward green, a sign her anger is settling into something else, something more complicated. "You should have fallen," she says finally, quietly enough that only those close by can hear. "I told you," I say, my voice steady despite the exhaustion pulling at every part of my body. "I didn't touch the controls." She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she turns to the central console and pulls up the maintenance log, the one she never checked before making her accusation. The screen shows exactly what I already knew: an automated cycle, scheduled every 4 hours, designed to protect the equipment from overheating. Nothing more. For a moment, she says nothing. The silence stretches long enough that some cadets begin to shift uncomfortably, unsure what to expect next. Finally, Karsa turns back toward the class, her voice carrying differently now, less certain, less commanding. "It seems," she says, "the system adjusted on its own schedule. No cadet is responsible." She does not apologize. Her species rarely does. Not directly, not in front of others. But something in the way she looks at me has changed. The dismissive edge that usually colors her voice when she addresses me is gone, replaced by something closer to genuine consideration. "Your species," she says slowly, choosing her words with unusual care, "was not built for what I assumed." I don't respond right away. There isn't much to say that wouldn't sound like gloating, and that isn't what this moment needs. Instead, I simply nod, still catching my breath, still feeling the ache settle deep into my muscles. Around the room, the other cadets are beginning to recover, pulling themselves up slowly, glancing toward me with expressions I haven't seen from them before. Not pity, not mockery, something closer to respect, quiet and unspoken, but real. Karsa dismisses the class shortly after, her voice quieter than usual, lacking its normal sharp edge. As the others file out, a few pause near me, offering small nods or brief words of acknowledgement. Ren, still catching her breath, manages a tired smile as she passes. "I did not expect that," she says simply. "Neither did I admit, and for the first time all day, I allow myself a small laugh, more out of relief than humor. Later that evening, alone in the quiet of the training dome after everyone else has left, I sit on the floor where I first collapsed, staring up at the tall ceiling of the empty room. My body aches in ways I haven't felt in a long time, deep and heavy, but underneath the exhaustion, there's something else. A quiet kind of pride, not because I proved anyone wrong, but because I refused to give in to something built specifically to break me. Karsa raised the gravity to make a point. She wanted to humiliate a mistake that was never mine to begin with. Instead, without meaning to, she revealed something about human beings that even I hadn't fully understood until that moment. We were never built to be the strongest, the fastest, or the most naturally gifted among the stars. But somewhere along the long, uneven road of our history, we learned how to keep standing when everything told us to fall. And that, more than anything else, is the lesson she taught me that day, even if it wasn't the one she meant to teach.